Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are transporting ourselves to a place that sits at, the very top of almost everyone's travel bucket list.
Oh, yeah.
A city that just feels like the future and the past collided at high speed.
Yeah.
We are talking about Tokyo.
It really is one of those magnetic cities, isn't it? Whether it's the neon canyons of Shinjuku,
Yeah.
the quiet dignity of the shrines, or just the food, the sheer efficiency of it all.
That's incredible.
It pulls people in.
It definitely pulls talent in. I feel like right now, everyone I know, whether they're a corporate transfer, a digital nomad, an English teacher, or just an entrepreneur, is trying to get to Japan.
The interest is at an all-time high, but, and there is always a but, when we talk about moving across the world, once that initial excitement of the sushi and the bullet trains wears off, you hit a wall, a very specific, very hard wall.
The housing market.
Exactly, the Tokyo housing puzzle. And calling it a puzzle is being generous.
Right.
It's more like a labyrinth designed to test your patience, your wallet, and your sanity.
That is absolutely the vibe I got from our research stack today.
Hmm.
It really feels like the system is set up to baffle outsiders.
Yeah.
And that's exactly our mission for this deep dive.
Yep.
We are going to answer a very specific question for anyone thinking about a move to Tokyo, whether it's for 3 months or 3 years.
And the question is the responsible choice, getting a traditional 2-year lease like a local, is that actually a financial trap?
Right. Because usually we think, I'm an adult, I should sign a lease, I shouldn't live in a hotel. But the sources we had today suggest that for a huge chunk of people, short-term living service apartments, extended stays, might actually be the smarter move.
It's a bit of a contrarian take, but when you look at the math, it really holds up. And to help us navigate this, we are leaning on data and insights provided by moveandstay.com.
Which is great context to have. These guys aren't new to this game at all.
Not at all.
They've been helping business travelers and professionals for, over 25 years across the Asia-Pacific region.
Right. They really specialize in that middle ground. You have hotels for tourists on one side, and you have empty apartments for long-term residents on the other. Move and Stay covers that gap.
For people who need to stay longer than a week, but maybe aren't ready to commit to a full residency.
Exactly. And what we are learning today is that in Tokyo, that gap between tourist hotel and residential lease is not just a crack in the sidewalk.
It's a canyon.
It is a canyon filled with paperwork, hidden fees, and cultural hurdles.
So let's get right to the hook.
Uh,
I was reading through the cost breakdown in the source material, and I honestly thought there was a typo.
the number of zeros.
The number of zeros. The sources claim that renting a standard, cheap, traditional apartment could cost you nearly 1 million yen before you even spend a single night there.
It sounds unbelievable, I know. But when you unpack the traditional Japanese rental system, that number is painfully accurate. The upfront capital required is among the highest in the world.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think most listeners, especially if they're from North America or Europe, have a specific model for renting.
Right.
You pay the first month's rent, maybe a security deposit equal to a month's rent, and you get the keys.
That is the global standard. But Japan operates on a unique system that, well, it largely dates back to the post-war era when housing was scarce. You have the standard stuff, yes, but then you have what we might call the hidden four.
The hidden four. That sounds ominous. Walk me through the math. Let's say I find a nice, modest apartment, a 1LDK, right?
A one-bedroom with a living, dining, kitchen area, yep.
For, say, 150,000 yen a month. That's roughly $1,000 US, give or take.
Okay, 150,000 yen, reasonable price for a good area. First, obviously, you pay that first month's rent. Then you have the security deposit, or shikiken.
Okay.
That is usually 1 or 2 months' rent.
So far, this feels pretty standard.
And then we hit the cultural hurdle. Raiken.
Key money.
Yes, literally translated, Raiken means gratitude money. It is a mandatory, non-refundable gift to the landlord.
I need you to pause there. A gift.
A gift. You are essentially thanking the landlord for the privilege of allowing you to rent their property.
Wow.
Historically, this made sense when there weren't enough houses for people. You sort of bribe the landlord to get in. Today, it's just an established cost of doing business, and it is usually 1 to 2 months worth of rent.
That you never see again. It's not a deposit.
Gone, vaporized the moment you hand it over. So on our 150,000 yen apartment, if the landlord asks for 2 months key money, you just hand it over 300,000 yen, about $2,000 for absolutely nothing.
That hurts. But looking at the list here, We are not done, are we?
Not even close. You almost always have to go through a real estate agent. In Japan, the standard brokerage fee is 1 month's rent plus tax.
Okay, so add another 150,000 yen.
Then you have the guarantor company fee, and we will get to the guarantor nightmare in a minute, which is usually half a month to a full month's rent. Then mandatory fire insurance. Then a lock exchange fee.
You have to pay to change the locks.
You pay to change the locks from the previous tenant.
So if I'm tallying this up, for a $1,000 a month apartment, I'm looking at putting down $6,000 to $9,000 in cash up front.
Correct. In yen, for that 150,000 yen place, you are looking at between 600,000 and 900,000 yen just to get the keys.
That is a massive amount of liquidity to just tie up.
It is. And that's the first major argument for the short-term model, the kind move and stay highlights. If you book a serviced apartment through them, what's the upfront cost?
According to the data, it's usually just the first month's rent and a deposit.
Right. And sometimes that deposit is significantly smaller. But the big takeaways: 0 key money, 0 agency fees, 0 lock exchange fees.
So you're keeping that huge chunk of cash, that 600,000 yen or whatever, in your bank account.
Precisely. For a professional or an entrepreneur, cash flow is often more valuable than a slightly lower monthly rate. You are paying for liquidity. You're keeping your powder dry.
But the financial hit doesn't stop at the lease signing. We have to talk about the empty box problem.
Yes. The brutal reality of the word unfurnished in Japan.
Because where I'm from, unfurnished means, there's no bed or couch, but there's a stove, there's a fridge.
Of course.
There are probably blinds in the windows.
Right. In Japan, unfurnished is taken quite literally. It means empty. We are talking a box with floors and wallpaper, and that is it.
How empty is empty?
Often there is no cooking range, just a gas hookup where you have to buy and install your own burner.
No way.
No refrigerator, no washing machine, no curtains. And here's the one that shocks people every single time. Often, there are no light fixtures.
No lights. Like you walk in at night and it's just pitch black.
Just a plastic socket in the ceiling. You have to go to an electronics store, buy the actual ceiling light, and install it yourself.
That is wild. So you pay 900,000 yen to get the keys, and your first night is spent sitting in the dark on the floor eating convenience store onigiri.
Unless you've arranged a massive shopping trip on day one, and that's the second financial hidden cost. To furnish a basic apartment bed, fridge, washer, microwave, table, the sources estimate that costs between 200,000 and 300,000 yen.
And that's for basic stuff.
That's assuming you're buying basic, maybe even used from a recycle shop. If you want new things, double it.
And there's a logistical nightmare hidden here too, right? The exit cost. I hadn't even thought about this.
This is the part everyone forgets. Japan has incredibly strict waste disposal laws. You cannot just leave a fridge on the curb when you move out.
You can't just drag it out to the dumpster.
Absolutely not. That's illegal dumping. You have to pay sodai gumi fees, oversized garbage fees.
How does that even work?
It's a whole process. You have to go to a convenience store, buy specific stickers for the cost of disposing of that specific item. Then you call the city to schedule a pickup date, which might be weeks away.
It sounds like a full-time job.
It's a bureaucracy of trash. And trying to sell used furniture quickly when you're leaving the country, it's incredibly stressful.
So let's contrast that with the suitcase lifestyle the sources talk about with a service like Move and Stay.
It's night and day. In a service department, you walk in, the bed is there with linens, the kitchen has cookware, plates, forks, the fridge is plugged in and cold, the microwave is there.
Everything's ready to go.
Everything. And the Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is. In a traditional apartment, getting internet installed can take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, especially during the busy moving season.
A month without home internet.
Yeah.
In 2026. It's just not viable for a remote worker.
It's career suicide. With a service department, the Wi-Fi is working the second you unlock the door. You are operational immediately.
I also noticed a note about moving season prices, that avoiding this is a huge hack.
Yes. In Japan, the fiscal year and the school year both start in April. So in late March, the entire country moves.
I can imagine.
Demand for moving trucks skyrockets. Prices can triple. If you are in a service department, you are moving with suitcases. You just bypass that entire economy of extensive movers.
So you're bypassing the furniture industry, the moving industry, the key money tradition. It really does start to look like a hack. But there's another barrier we need to discuss. And this one isn't just about money. It's about access. The guarantor.
This is probably the single biggest roadblock for foreigners. In a traditional Japanese lease, the landlord requires a joint guarantor, or rentai hoshonin.
And this isn't just a character reference, is it?
No, it is a serious legal liability. The guarantor promises to pay your rent if you don't. They promise to pay for damages if you trash the place.
And who can even be a guarantor?
Well, it usually needs to be a Japanese national residing in Japan with a stable income.
That is a huge ask for a newcomer.
It's an impossible ask. Imagine landing at the airport and having to ask a new boss, "Hi, nice to meet you. Will you cover my financial liability for 2 years?"
Court doesn't even begin to cover it.
Now, there are guarantor companies you can pay to do this. We mentioned their fees earlier, but that's more paperwork, more screening, and some landlords still prefer a human guarantor.
So how do short-term rentals handle this?
They function as a cheat code. Short-term rentals, specifically the kind move-and-stay aggregates, generally do not require a guarantor.
That alone seems worth the price of admission.
It is, and it goes hand in hand with the general bureaucracy. Traditional leases involve stacks of paperwork, often entirely in Japanese.
Right.
You often need a personal registered seal to sign.
And the classic problem, you can't get a bank account without an address, but you can't get an apartment without a bank account.
Exactly. The catch-22 that drives people crazy, whereas short-term rentals have embraced the digital age. Online booking, digital signatures, credit card payments, and this is key English support.
The Google Translate headache.
Exactly. When your water heater starts blinking an error code in Japanese at 11 p.m., having a management company that speaks English is the difference between a cold shower and a solved problem.
So I've got the financial argument avoiding the huge upfront costs. We've got the bureaucratic argument dodging the guarantor. But let's talk about lifestyle. The sources mentioned flexibility as a premium feature. Who is this really for?
It connects to the bigger picture of how we live now, The 21st century career isn't always static. A rigid 2-year lease is a relic of a time when you joined a company and stayed for life.
Right. But modern workers move, projects get canceled, visas get delayed.
Exactly. This is for the newcomer testing the waters. Do I like this neighborhood? Do I like this job? It's for the person on a 6-month trial period. It's for the digital nomad or the student.
It allows you to date the city before you marry it.
That's a great way to put it. The mechanics are simple. Month-to-month leases. If your project gets extended, you just extend the stay. If you need to leave early, the termination penalties are usually minimal.
And breaking a traditional lease.
Oh, that usually incurs a penalty of 1 or 2 months' rent, plus you lose your deposit. It's messy.
And location plays a big part here too, doesn't it? The source map showed these service departments are usually pretty central.
They are strategic. You rarely find them deep in the suburbs. They are in Shinjuku, Shibuya, Minato-ku, near the major train stations, the business districts.
So you're not commuting an hour on a packed train during rush hour.
Which, if you've never experienced it, is a physical ordeal. It is compression. You are paying for time saved, not just space.
Okay, so this sounds amazing. Low friction, high convenience. But I have to be the skeptic for a second. There is no free lunch. We need a reality check. Is it more expensive?
The short answer is yes, on a strictly monthly basis.
I knew it.
The source uses a great analogy. It's the difference between buying a single cup of coffee at a cafe versus buying a bag of beans and brewing a whole pot at home.
You pay a premium for the convenience of the single cup.
Exactly. The monthly rent for a service department is significantly higher, sometimes 30 to 50% higher than an unfurnished one in the same area.
That's a steep premium.
It is,
Right.
But you have to do the break-even mental math.
Walk me through that. When does the expensive coffee become cheaper than the cheap beans?
If you are staying for 2 years or more, the traditional route usually wins. That huge upfront cost, the key money, the furniture, it eventually gets amortized over the 24 months.
But if you are staying under 2 years,
That's the sweet spot. If you are staying for 6, 12, even 18 months, the short-term option often wins mathematically because you never dug that 900,000 yen hole at the beginning.
and you never spent 300,000 yen on furniture you have to pay to throw away.
Correct. You avoid the massive initial cash burn, so even if the rent is higher per month, it takes a long time for that to equal the initial layout.
That makes sense. It's about total cost of ownership over your specific time frame.
Precisely. It's not just rent versus rent. It's rent plus headache versus rent plus freedom.
What are the lifestyle drawbacks, though? It can't all be perfect.
It's not. The biggest one is personalization. You are living in a curated space.
You can't paint the walls.
No painting, no bringing in your favorite oversized armchair. The furniture is there and it stays there. It can feel a bit like living in a hotel. Functional, clean, but maybe not yours.
A bit sterile.
It can be. And you have to be careful. Liability is a real thing. If you break the microwave, you are paying for it. In your own unfurnished apartment, if you stain your own rug, well, that's your problem, but nobody sends you a bill.
And utilities.
Usually bundled, which is convenient. But you might pay a flat rate that is slightly higher than actual usage, or face overage charges if you leave the AC on 24/7 during a Tokyo summer.
So it's a trade-off. You're trading control and personalization for freedom and ease.
That is the fundamental equation. And platforms like Move and Stay are betting that for a certain demographic, the busy, professional freedom and ease are worth that premium.
So let's wrap this up. It seems like for a specific type of person, the listener who is busy, mobile, maybe new to Japan, this is a soft landing.
That is the perfect term for it. Short-term rentals are a soft landing gear for Tokyo. You glide in, you avoid the crash of upfront costs and bureaucracy, and you can focus on why you are there.
Your work, your life.
Exactly. It takes the stress out of one of the most stressful things you can do.
And I want to leave the listener with a question. When you are planning this move, ask yourself, what do you value more right now? Is it the stability of a permanent nest that you build yourself? Or is it the freedom to pack up and leave, or stay at a moment's notice?
That's the real question. Is your priority nesting, or is it agility? And honestly, if we connect this to the bigger picture, as remote work grows, are we seeing the slow death of the traditional 2-year lease?
Oh, that's interesting.
Perhaps the future of housing isn't about owning stuff or locking in long contracts. Maybe it's just about accessing the right space at the right time.
Housing as a service. I love that idea. We subscribe to movies, we subscribe to software. Why not subscribe to our living room?
Exactly. It fits the zeitgeist.
We'll have to see how the market evolves. But for now, if you're heading to Tokyo, check out moveandstay.com. It sounds like you definitely have a hack to consider before you hand over $1,000,000 yen.
Indeed. Save the money for the sushi.
Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. We hope this saves you some yen and some headaches on your next adventure. Catch you next time.